with Prince Charles's son and his cute little wife that we're all supposed to love and buy into and get little royal coffee cups. And to add insult to injury, the article's up on Infowars.com. Piers Morgan has come out and said that America needs a monarch. Says Obama will thankfully bow and scrape at feet of royals. I don't think Obama has found royals that he doesn't bow to. That story is up on Infowars.com with the full quote by Piers Morgan, who'd already seen his ratings slide in the year he took over from Larry King. But after I went on there 2 years ago, he was just annihilated. And they now admit in major publications like the LA Times and others that his slide began when I got in his face and said, "You are a traitor, here to enslave us and disarm us. It's not about children's safety. I will not have your fake debate." And, of course, a lot of the weasels and cowards out there at first said, how discrediting of Alex Jones. He should have talked in a proper British accent back to him and debated him on his field instead of going all the way over him. How un-American to get in someone's face. Yeah, that's right. Paul Revere would have just pulled out a blunderbuss, shoved it in his chest, and pulled the trigger. I am a weak little weasel compared to Paul Revere. And then you've got Americans mad at me that I dare go, look, it's about taking our guns. You know it is, and you're on notice. You try to take them, 1776 will commence again, scumbag. But the truth is, most Americans got it. It resonated. And it was like the Emperor's New Clothes being announced, or he's caught with his hand in the cookie jar, or Toto pulls back the curtain. Everybody went, whoa, we're here being lectured by a sycophantic, royal-worshipping twit who's got armed bodyguards at his home in L.A. about how we shouldn't have guns. We're done. And it wasn't just that one interview. He doubled down and brought a train of people on to basically excoriate him as well, and the whole tone changed. And now there's a lot of analysis out there that began the final implosion of CNN from being #2 on cable behind Fox to now being way in the end and essentially no longer exist. They're just keeping it on the air to save face for Time Warner for its stock. It's gone. It's being dumped off cable all over the place, dumped off different satellite systems. It's a joke. And have they stopped? No, they've increased the royal coverage of the royal carriage. Almost every time I see CNN, it's the Queen of England, gracious leader. Oh, we love you. They'll have that British reporter on going, they're probably having pea soup and something proper meal. And again, I'm not an Anglophobe, ladies and gentlemen. I love England. Love a lot of the culture. It's amazing. Led with the Magna Carta and the real Renaissance worldwide. So much has come out of the British Isles. But not the globalist and the Transylvanian royal family perched like giant stinking vultures on the carcass of the UK. But I'll tell you who's into royalty. Scum. Narcissistic pimps. That's why so many of the gangster, hip-hop, mindless rappers will call themselves, you know, Prince this, King that, the God this, the God that, King James, all this arrogance. And, of course, you'll find King James meeting with Prince Turdley or whatever his name is. And don't worry, Obama has met with the Prince. Oh, the graciousness of it. Sorry, I need to get into news here. Prince William and Duchess Kate kick off U.S. trips with visit to White House. You know, almost anybody who's got a last name like Gresham or a last name like Jones or I mean, there's a whole, I mean, if you know somebody that's got a name like that, or a whole bunch of names, has some connection back to royalty in England. But there have been a whole bunch of royal houses there. There's been, Of course, the Anglo-Saxons and then the Norman that took over in 1100 and all the subsequent things that happened. But when you look at this group of people, nothing against Romanians or Germans, but they're not even British. That's what's so frustrating. That's what's so nauseating about it. I mean, at least the little bit of royalty I'm connected to, you know, got into the royal house by being in battles and chopping people's heads off and defending the king and stuff like that. And at least I can trace back my lineage to nobility in England, but they all got there from killing people in battles, not by being Transylvanians. Of course, the Transylvanians got there because and ended up leveraging all of Europe to keep the Muslim invasions down, starting with Vlad the Impaler. So I guess they got there from violence as well. But it's just everyone stepping and fetching to inbred, mentally ill, degenerate royalty makes me want to throw up. Absolutely, totally disgusting on so many fronts. I mean, looking at the photos and videos of Obama meets with Prince William. I mean, who cares? It's embarrassing. I love all the people that have refused the knighthoods, like Stephen Hawking and so many others. I think it's a badge of being absolutely pathetic when you do that. But don't worry, LeBron was honored to play before the Royals. These people think we're so stupid. And I'll tell you something. Being chumped and being into royalty because of all the made-for-TV shows and movies, and when I'm at the grocery store at the checkout line, there's almost always 2 or 3 magazines about the royals that women buy. Let me tell you my litmus test for a woman. If she likes royal families and wants the teacups and stuff other than a joke, something's wrong with them. But it's Anglophile brainwashing that's gone on in this country for 100 years. You know the Thurston Howell III fake accent from Gilligan's Island that Thurston Howell, oh, I love you, have some champagne. That is the Atlantic accent that's about 150 years old, where the blue bloods that got their money from British industrialists mainly would go to classes to readopt a British American-style Atlantic accent to be accepted into British royal houses, and they would end up having homes in London and living there half the time. So there was a major recolonization of our republic with this British royalty Anglophile crap. I mean, people get tired of Israel trying to manipulate the internal activities of the U.S., and I don't like it, and I criticize it. But does anyone talk about the British colonization? And I don't mean the British people, of that thing, that monarchy and the big banks in the city of London that owns much of our Federal Reserve. You want to know who wrote Obamacare? These people. They want to run our lives. They want to tell us what we can eat, where we can go, what we can do. It's the model. And they're bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Extremely bad news. Now, that said, let's go ahead and get into another big con, Jonathan Gruber. We've got a whole bunch of these clips. I wonder which one we should go to first. Maybe we should go to Gruber saying he's not the architect and an apology. And then we're going to put a mashup together for the nightly news tonight that I'll air tomorrow on the radio show, where we're going to show where he says he's the architect, where Obama says he's an architect, where Pelosi says he's an architect, where Harry Reid says he's an architect, and then Obama saying he never was the architect, doesn't know him, and then saying how he steals everything from him. I mean, we're going to really be able to show the fraud here. Because they want us to just give up and accept the fraud and go, okay, you've been lied to 1,000 times, why not 1,000 times more? No, we're going to always celebrate your lies, celebrate trampling you and showing how pathetic you are. You want us to just give up and roll over. This is a death battle politically. We're not going to give up. That's who wins the fight. Who has the moral authority and who won't give up. George Washington for 7 years lost almost every battle but wouldn't give up and won the war. Perseverance is power. Never giving in. Having will. Setting your will against the globalists. If you just spiritually ask God to use you as a vessel and set your will against the New World Order, your life will change just like that. It's a free will decision. You want to know how to fight tyranny? Ask God. You want to know how to stand up and how to reclaim your life and your children? Ask God. Say, I'm willing to do whatever you direct me to do. I turn myself over to you via free will. The world doesn't do that. The world creeps in and wants to take over your free will and get you to accept it by increment. Not the God of the universe. You've got to want it. Now let's go to Gruber, the arrogant sycophant, the Harvard tactician now at MIT who bragged that I met behind closed doors and they said we can't let the public know it increases prices and it penalizes healthy people. And so what we did is we deceived them, and then he adopted my plan. And the other academics look at him nodding approvingly.